Less than 2 hours away now until the ballot closes. Let's talk to Professor Anand Menon, who's a lecturer at King's College London, the director of the think tank, the UK Changing Europe. Welcome. We just heard from the European Reform Group, the backbench Brexiteers in the Tory party, saying they're not going in behind either of the candidates, but they will unite behind whoever it is. What's your reaction to that?
Well, it was an interesting press conference. I think David Cameron would have been interested to hear that the European Research Group were always loyal to prime ministers, because that's not always been the case. And it was interesting that they spoke specifically about the Northern Ireland Protocol. I mean, one of the things, Nick was quite right when you interviewed him a minute ago in saying what's remarkable about this campaign is that Rishi Sunak hasn't come out and spelled out anything approaching a platform. And one of the interesting challenges he's going to face as soon as he comes in is whether to try and renegotiate the Northern Ireland Protocol and risk a trade war with the European Union at a time when our economy is, to say the least, fragile. So there's an awful lot we don't know about what a Rishi Sunak prime ministership will look like.
What would the new prime minister need to do to keep groups like that sweet? Because there are, of course, various different vested interests across the party, and we've seen how that division, you mentioned David Cameron, I mean, you know, the issues around Europe have been dividing this party for a very long time.
Well, it'll be very difficult. To take two examples on Europe, there is the good of the economy, which requires, I think, for us to maintain relations as they are with the European Union so trade can remain where it is. And the demands of groups like the European Research Group, who are saying basically you have to rewrite or rip up the Northern Ireland Protocol, which we know the European Union will simply refuse to do. And the European Union has made it clear in the event that we try and do this unilaterally, they will retaliate. Then there are other issues like immigration. If you think back to the Truss premiership, quite remarkably, there was a moment when we had a government that seemed to have two parallel immigration policies. There was Liz Truss thinking about liberalising to get more highly skilled people in to boost growth. Home Secretary Suella Braverman talking about bringing down the numbers to tens of thousands. So again, there are real substantive divisions within the Conservative Party over policy. This isn't simply about personality.
On immigration, on other issues, other aspects, I mean, multi-faith questions, it was very important for a lot of people of faith when Rishi Sunak, as Chancellor here 2 years ago, lit candles outside number 11 for Diwali. It is Diwali again, and possibly he is going to be the first Hindu Prime Minister in this country. What's your reflection on that?
Well, it's obviously a really big moment for questions of race in this country to have, if we do, a Prime Minister of Indian origin is a really, really big deal. What reassures me most, actually, is how little comment there has been about it, in a sense that we seem to have normalised this. We had, of course, a cabinet with a fair degree of ethnic minority representation in before, and having someone in the top job is symbolically very, very important, but I'm reassured to find that there hasn't been that much discussion about it, almost as if the British people just accept this as normal, which is the situation we need to be in, to be honest. What I would add, though, is that obviously racial diversity is one thing. There was under Liz Truss a real lack of socio-economic diversity within that cabinet.
Anand Menon, thank you very much indeed for joining us.